How's it going, everyone? Ethan with etrailer here. Today to show you the Swagman Current 2-platform bike rack on our 2020 Chevrolet Equinox. So the first thing we want to highlight about this rack is the weight capacity. It's able to support up to 2 bikes of 60 pounds each, so around 120 total. One of the benefits of this bike rack is that whether you're using the 1.25" or 2" receiver tubes, you'll still be able to support the full weight. So getting into how this frame actually holds onto our bikes here, as you can see, they have these padded hooks that support the bikes via the frame. So maybe not your best choice if you're using a carbon frame or an alternative style frame, just because it might not hold onto the frame the way you want it to. But for the sake of this, I think it does fine. Additionally to the hooks, it's also supported on 2 other points of contact here by these straps with a little rubberized piece here that hold on to the actual tire themselves. One of the other major points of this bike rack here is the ability, again, to tilt away. So you just pull this green lever in the back, lower it down, and that gives us plenty of room to access our cargo area in the Equinox here. As you can see, no real clearance issues or anything like that. If I wanted to, I could sit back here, I could change my shoes, get something out of the trunk, whatever have you. So we're gonna go ahead and tilt this back up, holding on to the actual rack itself. You'll hear it click, and that's how you know it's secure in place again. So going back to the hooks here, as you can see, they have locks on them, and each of them are keyed alike to the anti-rattle bolt at the bottom. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and begin the removal process, starting with these straps down here. Just pop this lever right here, slide these through. Go ahead and move to the back, do the same thing. I like to hold on to the bike just in case a little bit, if I can. Wheel that through, slide that out. And now we go ahead and push this lock here and slide the hooks. One of the benefits of this rack is that the hooks actually slide all the way off. So that makes it pretty easy. Again, hold the bike here, pull the hook off, and easy enough. You can lift it straight over. Something to note is that I just went ahead and lifted my bike over this mast, but it can actually come down if you just pull up on this lever and go ahead and just push it down. Okay, so now that we have the bike off, you can see the cradles here themselves. They are adjustable, so they do slide back and forth, and they come with 3 separate widths or so you can have 3 different styles of bikes, up into including the 5" bikes and the fat bikes. All right, so now that the bike's off, let's go ahead and get some measurements. From the bumper to around the furthest point back, you're looking at about 23 inches from the ground up. As far as ground clearance goes, you're looking at about 16.5 inches, so no real issues there. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and fold this mast down again, and pulling this lever in the back one more time, we're gonna go ahead and fold that up, and we're gonna get some more measurements from here. So as you can see here on our 2020 Equinox, it does get pretty close, including the cradles themselves. This one's a little bit below the bumper, but from right here, I mean, you have about 1/2 inch, no more. Granted, the anti-rattle bolt does keep it in place pretty securely, but it's definitely something to keep in mind on this car. So although in the folded position it is pretty close, one additional benefit is that you can actually still access the cargo area while it's folded up in the back. So one of the hidden benefits of using this rack with this car. So additionally, in this folded up position, one of the reasons I like platform style bike racks is, as you can obviously see, you're not blocking the tail lights, you're not blocking the license plate at all. If you have a backup camera in the middle there, you're not blocking that at all either, so it gets nice and tucked up out of the way. For our final measurement, we're just gonna get from the ground clearance to the shank itself, which comes in at about 8.5 inches or so. So with the Equinox, it does sit a little bit lower than some, and it does get a little bit close, but with like the 8.5 inch rise to the top of the platform itself, it shouldn't be much of an issue. So again, this bike rack does use an 1.25" shank, using the adapter to fit into our 2x2" receiver tube here. Like I said, it supports up to 60 pounds each, regardless of the 1.25" status, but it connects in the back here using our anti-rattle bolt, which uses this keying system, like we mentioned before, that is indeed keyed alike to the hooks themselves. So as I mentioned before, although it does sit a little bit close to the actual bumper itself, as you can see when I shake it, it doesn't have a ton of movement either up and down or side to side, and that's thanks partially to our anti-rattle bolt here. One thing to point out is that a lot of 1.25" shanks themselves are a little bit more susceptible to that up and down movement, so the fact that this one doesn't move at all is a pretty neat feature. So overall, I think the Swagman Current is a really nice fit for the Equinox, all things considered. I think it does a great job. If you were to compare it to anything, I think maybe the Rocky Mounts monorail, similar weight capacity, but it actually holds the bikes by the front tire if the frame is something that's important to you. And that was a look at the Swagman Current on our 2020 Chevrolet Equinox. I hope it helped.